It's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Congresswoman, thank you for hustling over here and being on New Day this morning. Let me ask you something.
Good to be with you.
Good, always a pleasure. Why support Donald Trump's suggestion that there is widespread fraud in this election? You have to know that there is no objective proof of any widespread fraud in any of our elections in the modern era. Why support something that is so damaging to the process that is central to our democracy?
Well, I think what Donald Trump is speaking are the concerns of the American people when it comes to this process. And we're talking about the Clintons, and we're talking about Hillary Clinton, who is the most corrupt politician to ever run for office, especially the presidency. But here, you know, I was just adding up some things on the way. I knew this was going to be one of the questions. Just things from the media. 96% of the political contributions have been given to Hillary Clinton from you and the media. We have a situation now where the chief political correspondent reached out to John Podesta in one of the WikiLeaks emails that have been leaked, asking, oh, hey, can you take a look at this to make sure it's okay before I put it out? I mean, this goes on and on and on. We even have a situation in North Carolina where over 2,000 dead individuals 110 years or older, were found on the rolls for registry. These are the things that we see, and most of those individuals were Democrats. I think when you look at the situation, what Donald Trump is saying is be vigilant, America, with this election. I believe this is the most important election since the election of Ronald Reagan.
That's not what he's saying, though. And by the way, everything you just said has nothing to do with election fraud. And I'll assume all of it's true. Everything's true. The media is the worst. Everything you just said is right. Everybody's corrupt. Hillary Clinton's the worst ever. None of that is proof of election fraud that changed an election. You pointed in another interview to the 2000 election.
Proof.
Florida wasn't proof of voter fraud.
2000.
That wasn't voter fraud.
No,
that was a really tight race that wound up going all the way to the Supreme Court. But so what if he said it? That doesn't make it true. So now Al Gore's your source for Donald Trump being right?
True. No, absolutely not. What I'm saying is, you know, it has been put out there that those in the Bush administration have said that there is absolutely no voter fraud. Look, I'm not
not absolutely no voter fraud.
The issue of the state.
Congresswoman, I just want to be clear about this.
No.
Everybody will acknowledge, if they know anything about the system, that there are flaws in the system, there is fraud.
Yes.
But there has been a lot of exhaustive research on this. And the idea of widespread fraud in any election, let alone this one, has almost no basis in fact.
You're focusing on one area. You're focusing on one area, the political system, our democratic system alone. That's not fair. That's really not what Donald Trump is talking about.
What do you think he's talking about?
No, that is not what Donald Trump. What he has talked about, the rigged media against him. He has talked about the fact that we have all these situations where now we're finding out more and more. We're even finding out that the FBI and the State Department was asking for quid pro quo. He is looking at this from a 30,000-foot level, and he is saying when you add it all up, it does amount to fraud.
But that's not election fraud.
And if this election is going to go forward,
keep the integrity of the process. Don't undermine the process. Go after the media. That's your right.
What you are doing is you are taking one piece. These aren't individual silos. These aren't all in a vacuum.
Congresswoman,
they are all cumulative.
I can play you sound from his latest rally, where he says you got all these dead people on the rolls, and you know there's fraud all over the place, and I can't understand what's going on with these Republican leaders. Where's their common sense? He's not talking about the media in that statement. He's not talking about quid pro quo.
I just gave you an example of over 2,000 voters on the registry that are over age 110.
How many of them were allowed to register votes in an election?
We don't know. We know that they're still on the roll.
That's my point. If you're going to say there's fraud, you have to prove it.
So that's the proof that, right.
Because it's very dangerous otherwise to undermine the election.
No, it's not very dangerous. What's very dangerous is electing someone like Hillary Clinton behind the backs of the American people. We already know that this woman is corrupt. We already know that you want proof? I'll give you proof. I'll give you proof that this woman is corrupt. I'll give you proof
that this woman
is colluded.
That's fine. You can make those arguments.
Look,
They've been made very well in the media and out of it. That's all. All I'm talking about is the election fraud, because we care about the integrity of the process. That's all I'm saying.
So if she's elected, will you have me back afterwards? After there's
I'll have you on whenever you want to come on.
After there's proof.
Have we ever said no to you being on the show? Never.
What we need, no, absolutely not. You guys are wonderful, but the point I'm trying to make here is you're focusing on one issue alone. It's a cumulative issue for Donald Trump and what he's talking about. You add it all up, and the stack is against him. He is a person that is with the American people. The American people believe in this. And when you criticize those of us, myself, Donald Trump, who say that there's a possibility of corruption when it comes to this election process, when we look at this situation and think that it's rigged against us, it's the American people that are saying this. The American people. This is a rigged system. So when you criticize, you are criticizing the American people.
Look, all I'll say, and I want to get on to North Carolina because you're there and I want to get your read on the race. You can criticize the media. You can criticize Hillary Clinton. That's what an election is about. Go for it. To say that the actual democratic process is fraudulent and rigged, you should have a factual basis for it, and you don't have a good one. That's all I'm saying, but let's not belabor that point. Do me a favor,
I agree,
Congresswoman.
But sure. Let's agree to disagree.
That's fine, and I'm always happy to have you on. You know, this discussion is what helps make the democratic process work, right? 48 to 47 in North Carolina, very tight. Obama won it in 2008, but traditionally over the decades, it's a red state. Which way do you think it's going to go, and why?
Well, you know, in the 2012, North Carolina went for Mitt Romney. North Carolina is a very purple state. I know sometimes it seems to get lumped into the category of red state, but it really isn't. I mean, it's very diverse, and the population and the demographics are changing. So this is something that needs to be taken very seriously. I believe that at the end of the day that Donald Trump is going to win North Carolina because the people are coming out in droves for him. Him and Mike Pence. Mike Pence is going to be in Fayetteville this evening, and I can only imagine that there's going to be a huge crowd for him. There is very much excitement. He definitely has the movement going forward. And, you know, the North Carolinians believe in America. They believe in the democratic process, and they want it to work. And that's why they're putting their faith behind Donald Trump.
Congressman Renee Elmers, thank you very much for being on New Day. You are always invited on the show.
Thank you.